This is the summary of Lecture 2. What creative gifts do we have for the Creative Arts and Media in Mission and Evangelism module? So this session looks at why creativity can be seen as a lesser discipline in our education system compared to the sciences. And we'll evaluate what creative gifts that we have. Now, together we will look at the various means of communication through the arts and media available to us to share the old story of the gospel. Now, this module is of vital importance. The reality is that mainstream culture no longer brings people to the church door. So we can no longer assume that we can automatically reproduce ourselves because the pool of people who regard church as relevant or important is decreasing with every generation. That's from Mission Shaped Church report. So I want you to have confidence that what I'm teaching you is what I'm seeking to implement in my work as an evangelist. And in other words, these lectures that we will look at will flow from me. Yes, there's loads of academic research and whatnot within the modules, but this is something that flows like a river. This is something that I passionately believe in, that I read about and put into practice. Now, in Ryken's book, Art for God's Sake, he says a picture is worth 10,000 words, as stated by Fred R. Barnard. Now, art can satisfy our deep longing for beauty and communicate profound spiritual, intellectual, and emotional truth about the world that God has made for his glory. So we're going to have some discussion, and this is where the notes of the lecture are really important. We're going to discuss 3 recent examples that I've used the arts to connect with people creatively. Could they work in your context? So have a look on page 6 and 7 of the lecture notes. And the examples are brush giveaway, which was a challenge for people at Christmas time. Do you need to brush up on the Christmas story? The second is postcard prophecies, writing words of knowledge and insights and encouragements for people, but using the pictures that hopefully will connect with people. And the third is stone giveaway. We love using stones. Words of hope on stones, symbols, but have a look at the lecture notes and just see, could these work within your context? Now, after you've had a look at those examples, there's some YouTube clips for you to watch. Why are the arts perceived to be less important than other subjects in education? Now, a wonderful educational psychologist called Ken Robinson, wonderful communicator, and you'll see on the array of YouTube clips that are on offer for you to have a look at within the lecture notes. He communicates so beautifully the role of the arts in education and how important they are. Now, Sir Ken Robinson, on his thoughts on education, intelligence and creativity, he says this: if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original. He alludes to lots of people who are creative that have been deemed as having ADD or ADHD, attention deficit disorder. In this wonderful book by Matt Tommy, he says this: artists process the world different than other people. I'm reading what he's saying. We see things other people don't see, hear sounds they don't hear, and are intrigued by the nuances of life that many others will simply pass over. To some people, it may seem like we're a little weird, scattered, unfocused, or have ADD. In reality, it's that we are always on and receiving inspiration from a myriad of different stimuli coming our way. It may be a song that we hear and can't get out of our head, a colour or texture that just seems too delicious to ignore, an autumn leaf floating to the ground, a child's laugh, or a beautiful poem. I wonder if that's how you feel, perhaps as an artist or someone who is particularly creative. I wonder if you feel that you're different or looked upon as a little bit strange. So what creative gifts have you got? It may need someone else from the group to tell you, and in the lecture at the residential we'll have time looking at original ideas that have value and talk about with some of the original ideas that we've come up with. Now in Ken Robinson's book The Element, he says that the place where the things I love to do and the things I am good at, they come together. That's what he describes as the element. He says that it's the natural facility for something. It's an intuitive feel or a grasp of what thing is, of what that thing is, how it works, and how to use it. So when you did your generosity kits, how did you get on? What did you choose to use to connect with people? You'll have an opportunity to share with the team and perhaps take an opportunity to share with someone about your creative kits. And if you didn't have that opportunity on the online lecture to do the creative kit, what would you choose to connect with people? What things would you put in there? Have a think about what would go into that kit. So that's the summary of Lecture 2.